Thank you very much. Before I give the CS the opportunity to respond, it's good to note that the CS is properly before this committee. This is a committee of transportation. This is a committee that saw it fit to look into this issue of Adani because the is a matter of public interest. And we invited the CS to appear here to shed light. If we find the gaps, nothing stopped this committee from inviting any other person. And probably you have seen some gaps. So nothing stopped this committee from inviting anyone. But if you remember very well, maybe you are not in when I was making my opening remarks, I asked the CS, he was supposed to be accompanied by the Director General, Public-Private Partnership, who is Mr. Christopher Kiregwa. And I also asked that yesterday. So, and I said we are going to deal with that issue at the tail end because I didn't want to chase the CS away because it's a matter of national interest. So this is another character that we are going to discuss as a committee because we have invited the Treasury. We had actually invited the PS for Treasury, but we are expecting the Director General of Public-Private Partnership, who is actually the one who is supposed to answer all these questions. But the CS saw it fit to come before us because he understands our role as a committee, and I should thank him for appearing here. But having said that, Bwana CS, briefly, because it was Senator Omtata took us through the law and what the law says, I would want you to comment on Senator Omtata's remarks or contribution. I did not hear the question, but I would want to hear your comment on that.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator Omtata, for the question. As regarding the due diligence that ought to have been done before commencing the exercise, my written response does say an initial due diligence was done, Chair, so it was done. It is not true that it was not done. If you go to my first page of my document, I did say in paragraph number 3, starting with, currently we are processing through the stages outlined in the PPP framework. We are in the detailed due diligence phase while also negotiating the proposal submitted by Adani. An initial desktop due diligence was done by KAA and the PPP Directorate before commencing the evaluation. So it was done. As regarding the procurement process, I'm not a lawyer, chairman like Omutata. I thought he was, sorry. But I've just been referred very quickly to section 4.2 of the PPP Act, which does say the provision of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act shall not apply to a public-private partnership. So I don't know whether we are reading the same law, the same act. And if you go quickly to section, which other section was this we wanted to refer to? Section 40, which basically talks to a contracting authority may consider a privately initiated proposal submitted under subsection 1, which is a private party may submit a privately initiated proposal to a contracting authority, and the authority may consider a privately proposal submitted accordingly. Chair, let me basically say, for big infrastructural projects, like I've said earlier on, you basically as a country are seeking big investments. And it's one thing to market your country, to develop your infrastructure. Other countries, like somebody said, Ethiopia is developing 100,000 passenger terminal, 100 million. Ethiopia, Uganda, sorry, I've got some numbers here. Rwanda is just completing developing its airport that will have a capacity of 14 million passengers at 1.3 billion. Just to talk to the issue of cost, we are asked many times, why are we spending 1.8 when Rwanda is spending 1.3? The capacity for Rwanda is 14. The capacity we are developing is 23. Ethiopia is developing 100 million passenger. But more importantly, look at the competitive aspects of Kenya being that anchor state, when we do enjoy the benefit of what I said earlier, geolocationing with Mombasa Port, that we should not be competing with Ethiopia, who do not have the benefit of having a seaport. And therefore, we need to ensure that by sea, by air, by road, we are competitive. And it's important, therefore, that whereas our fiscal headroom cannot afford us to build a new airport, which we should have built some 15 years ago, it's only fair that we seek private capital to help us to build a new airport. We need a new airport, and it is incumbent upon us to really suit investors by, if, for example, in my last trip to China, which is the China-Africa kind of Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, we are marketing a number of infrastructure projects like roads, and we are saying, how do we open up our road to Malaba from Nairobi, from Mombasa, and so on and so forth. So to be able to attract that kind of investment, Chair, you need to give investors information and to be able to make informed decisions to come to Kenya and not to go to Ethiopia. Let me rest. I don't know whether there is a very specific question which I didn't basically address from.
Maybe you can address that clause again that you talked about. The PIPs are not subject to.
I've just quickly been referred to Section 4.2, Chair, which does read the provision of the Public Procurement Act, Asset and Disposal Act 2015, shall not apply to a public-private partnership. So we basically have to prosecute the privately initiated proposal in line with the PPP Act. I think the biggest challenge, Chair, we are facing is that we have not really employed often the PPP Act, or not many projects have succeeded through the PPP procurement process. And then therefore, some of the challenges we are facing because of non-disclosure, there's a lot of negotiation in the process, is lack of information. And in Section 42 of the same PPP Act, it does read, a contracting authority may consider a privately initiated submitted under this, under one, which is a privately party may submit a privately initiated proposal to a contracting authority. And that is what Adani did. Thank you. Okay,
and when you're there, just go to 41. No, the same section, 43J, that states, the privately initiated proposal under subsection 1 shall contain the following information. J states, a justification why the project is not suitable for open competitive procurement. I think on that one, that's why, that's the area. That's why we feel that Adani's proposal is the only proposal that we should go out with. Why not for competitiveness? Say we have one proposal, but before we consider this, we are going to invite any other person out there who would want to come up with their own proposals.
Chair, I'm advised, we satisfied ourselves that there was good justification why the project could not be suitable for I think you're talking about the kind of investment we are looking at. The investors who look at various aspects of investing in various destinations. And yes, I think we can give that justification why we think the project, or why we satisfied ourselves that the project was not suitable for open competitive.
Point of order, Chair.
And that's why we're still insisting this Mr. Christopher Kiregwa, the Director General for Public-Private Partnership. I don't know whether it's before maybe the end of this session. You should have him here. I know. Okay, so if you can contact him, but I have Senator Sifuna.
Yes. Chair, you remember me asking the CS when the policy of government changed. It must have been at that point where he says he found justification for abandonment of an open tender system. So can he confirm that he is not just speaking ad lib, that there is a document, yes, a document by government justifying the departure from, in terms of policy? And also, Honorable Chair, let us remember the provisions of Article 10 of the Constitution. Article 10 inserts the participation of the people at the point of policy formulation and a change of policy. So that, Honorable CS, if indeed government was abandoning this path, having found this justification, you needed to involve people and tell people that going forward, if we are discussing expansion of JKIA or any other national infrastructure projects, we are going to go the PPP way. So that policy change, Chair, we have to locate it in time and the process. Was it a cabinet decision? Who made that decision? And how were the people involved in the decision making?
Chair.
Yes, yes.
I thought we had agreed that all members ask questions, then supplementary at the time.
Oh yeah.
But can
I just allow, because that one was so close to what you were saying.
A point of order about section 4 that the minister referred to. It refers to a PPP agreement not being subject to the other act, not the initiation of a procurement. This act outs the other act at a certain stage of the procurement process, the agreement, and you have seen they have given a very elaborate procedure of how getting that agreement position.
All right. Noted. CS?
And why, I think the question is still why Adani and whether there was change of policy. I'm trying to locate where there was this feasibility study done and which informed us accordingly. PS, can you assist me very quickly?
Thank you. Chair, we, as Kenya Airports Authority, we did a feasibility study for Jkia. That was after doing the National Aviation Policy and the Jkia investment plan. This feasibility study informed that the Jkia requirements for investment amount to 1.63 billion. We received a PAP of a proponent willing to invest close to